Now, before we return to the local news, we're going to have a bit of sport, and Elizabeth's going to start us off.
Enfield 1893 manager Luke Giddings is hoping that his side will finally get to take to the field this weekend after an enforced 3-week break because of bad weather. The E's have not played since they defeated Hullbridge Sports 2-0 on December the 14th and had won 6 consecutive matches in the Essex Senior League before the heavy rain set in. With the weather having been poor throughout the region over the past few weeks, only 2 games have taken place in the league since Enfield last played. The prospects of play for Saturday's game at Barking at 3 p.m. remain touch and go, but with the weather expected to improve, manager Luke Giddings is hopeful that the clash does go ahead and can't wait to get back into action. There's been no training over Christmas, so it's nice to have had a bit of a break, he said. We've had 3 training sessions now, so we're ready to go. Barking currently lie in 12th place in the table, but Giddings believes that they will be difficult to beat as the E's look to maintain their place at the top of the table. He added, Barking will prove a tough game. They're a good side. We beat them 1-0 earlier in the season, but they provided us with a decent test. We had expectations of being near the top at the start of the season, and I'm very confident that we can achieve that.
Saracens produced another outstanding display to romp to a 29-8 victory at Gloucester on Sunday, which ensured that they remained 3 points clear at the top of the Aviva Premiership table. The visitors defied the wet conditions to play some outstanding rugby as they recorded their biggest ever win at Kingsham, with Neil de Kock, David Shettle and Alex Good all scoring tries and Owen Farrell kicking 14 points. The first 30 minutes of the game were as good as we've had this season, said Director of Rugby Mark McCall. The set piece was dominant. We had intensity in our kick chase, and coupled with that, we played some good rugby. We scored 2 tries in that period and could have got some more. We had a lot to be happy with during the game, but when we were down to 13 men, we showed great togetherness, and when we pushed them back on their own ball in the scrum to win a penalty, it was my moment of the match. To back up the Leicester performance before Christmas with 2 away wins like we've had against Worcester and Gloucester tells you a lot about the culture and togetherness at the club. We are in a good place at the moment. Farrell gave the Sarries an early lead by slotting over a 4th-minute penalty, and with Gloucester scrum half Jimmy Cowan in the sin bin, they extended their advantage through de Kock's 9th-minute try after good work from Shulk Brits. Strattle added a second try on 22 minutes after a huge overlap had been created out wide, and 2 more Farrell penalties extended their advantage to 19-0 before Billy 12trees finally got Gloucester on the scoreboard with a 39th minute penalty. Any doubt over the outcome was ended when Good scored a try on 48 minutes, which Farrell converted before slotting over a 4th penalty on the hour. Gloucester, who were unable to take any advantage of having 2 extra men for the best part of 10 minutes, claimed a consolation try through Matt Cox in the 70th minute, but it had no impact on the outcome as Sarries cruised to victory. Saracens faced a crucial trip to Toulouse in the Heineken Cup on Sunday.
Enfield's Harry Casey will represent England golf in a number of key early year championships during a 5-week stay in Australia. Casey will be joined by Wellingborough's Ryan Evans, and they will seek to build on a string of successes down under in recent years. Casey 20 made his full England debut last spring in the international against Spain at El Prat, strange name, and was also a member of England's victorious team in the home internationals at Ganton. It was a successful 2013 for the Enfield Golf Club player. He won the Selborne Salver, was beaten in a playoff for the Pontcat Dutch Junior Open, finished 3rd in the Portuguese Amateur Championship and the Hampshire Salver, and reached the last 16 of the Spanish Amateur. Casey's first action will be at the Masters of the Amateurs at Royal Melbourne, which started yesterday. He follows that up with the Australian Amateur Championship and the South Wales Medal. Should they qualify in the leading 32 players in South Wales, they will contest the new South Wales Amateur Championship, a match play event at Concord Golf Club at the start of February. The duo conclude their tour with the Avondale Medal in February. Going to be quite busy, I think.
Enfield Town have been frustrated in their attempts to take to the field in the past week, with their 3 scheduled matches in the Ryman Premier Division both falling victim to waterlogged pitches. All of them, I guess. The heavy rain put paid to both Town's trip to Hendon on New Year's Day and Saturday's home clash against Grays Athletic, while last night's game at home to Harrow Borough was also postponed because of the continual poor weather. Town's inactivity means that they remain just one place above the foot of the table, 9 points adrift of safety with almost half the season gone. But while he admitted that he was disappointed that the side had not been able to play, manager George Borg insisted that there were some positives from their enforced break. It's been a bit frustrating because we produced such a good performance against Margate and wanted to go out there and build on it, he said. At the same time, we managed to get a 3-hour training session in on Saturday, and the break has given us more time to gel and get together. We had to go back to the drawing board to work on patterns of play, but the lads have picked up a lot of things, and at the same time their fitness is getting better. The performances have been good, we just need to get a bit of luck, and if that happens I'm pretty confident we'll start to get points on the board. Town's last match saw them go unrewarded for a good first half display as they were beaten 1-0 at Margate on December the 28th. And now back to Elizabeth for the last item of sport before Katherine returns us to the local news.
Enfield Ignitions made a storming start to 2014 as they secured a 29-18 victory from Saturday's long trip to Norwich in Rugby Union's London Division 2 North East. Playing into the elements in the first half, Ignitions kept themselves within touching distance as a third-minute try from Tan Mubu and a Jordan Wilson penalty left them trailing just 13-8 at the interval. However, the visitors cut loose in the second half as further tries from Dannon O'Meara, Sam Emery and Dan Savager sealed the bonus point. Although Wilson converted all 3 tries, Ignitions had to withstand multiple Norwich attacks in the closing stages, but with the exception of a Nick Austin try, they held firm to claim the win. Although I never felt we would lose, Norwich were hard opposition, said skills coach Steve Atkinson. We need to be more ruthless in the way that we go about closing games, but I'm very happy to go home with all 5 points.
Officers from British Transport Police are appealing for witnesses after a bicycle was thrown from a bridge onto a train near Enfield Lock railway station. The incident took place as a Liverpool Street-bound train was approaching the bridge between Standard Road and Bradley Road shortly before 6 p.m. on Monday last week. A number of overhead power lines were brought down when the bicycle dropped on them before landing on the train. Services were delayed while the bike was removed and passengers were transferred onto a different train while the power lines were fixed. The bike was taken away by police to be analysed forensically. Officers suspect it was deliberately dropped onto the train. They have now released images of the bike in a bid to trace the culprits. Detective Constable Paul Cudby said, "We believe the bicycle was deliberately thrown and dropped onto the train as it passed through. Deliberately putting objects onto the railway infrastructure may seem like fun to those who commit such offences, but what they don't realise are the potentially serious consequences of their extremely foolish behaviour. Trains travelling at high speeds risk being damaged or derailed, putting the lives of passengers and rail staff in danger. We treat incidents where the line has been obstructed extremely seriously, and I'd urge anyone who recognises the bike or who may have further information about what happened to come forward. Anyone with any information can contact the British Transport Police on 0800 40 50 40 by texting 61016, quoting incident 296 of 30/12/2013, or calling Crime Stoppers anonymously on 0800 555 111.
A new clock incorporating traditional architecture is set to be built at the Triangle in Palmer's Green. Plans are almost complete for the monument located at the junction of Alderman's Hill and Green Lanes after funding was received from Enfield Council's Residents' Priority Fund. The application for a monument to be placed within the triangle came from the Green Lanes Business Association, which has taken charge of looking after the area's shopping district with the aid of the town centre manager of the Enfield Business and Retailers Association, Mark Lever. Costas Georgiou, chairman of the GLBA, said, "Having a monument is important, and we can use it to guide people who are not from the area to the local shops. A clock stands out. It is high and doesn't take up much room, as it is the place where every year we put the Christmas tree. The clock will be built by Dave Plummer of Triangle Metalworks and designed by Enfield student Karen Cox, owner of Absolutely Kareen Graphic Design Company. The design will include a number of key architectural elements of the surrounding buildings, such as the clock's hexagonal-shaped column and a scroll, which is prevalent on many nearby buildings. A design used to depict the date 1904 on the HSBC building will be replicated on a disc reading 2014 on the base of the monument. The clock will also have 3 sides so as to represent the triangle area. Miss Cox, who is primarily a print designer, told the Advertiser she felt that the idea of incorporating the architectural ideas from the buildings so that they could be appreciated at ground level was an interesting concept. Using local businesses has been an important aspect of the project, and one about which she feels strongly. Ms. Cox added, "It is really important in helping the community. I think that you do not need to leave the local area for anything you need. There are still minor alterations to be made to the design, and the business associations are asking for feedback from the public by the end of the month. For more information, you can email costas.georgiou at ebra.org.uk.
Serious youth violence in Enfield has remained at a similar level for the 3rd year running, but the council admits that more needs to be done to keep young people safe. Home Office figures released by the London Probation Trust on Monday revealed that while the number of wounding incidents among 10 to 19-year-olds in Enfield increased from 9 to 22 between 2011-12 and 2012-13, the number of grievous bodily harm incidents went down from 29 to 25 over the same period. During 2010-11, Enfield witnessed 20 wounding incidents and 30 cases of grievous bodily harm. But following the deaths of 19-year-old Mohammed Hussein in Edmonton and 17-year-old Joshua Folkes in Palmer's Green last year, Enfield Council admitted more needs to be done. Christine Hamilton, Cabinet Member for Community Wellbeing, said, "I'm pleased that there has been a reduction in GBH in the borough since 2010-11. However, we must not be complacent, and more remains to be done to keep our young people safe and deal quickly and firmly with those who feel they can bring violence and chaos onto our streets whenever they want to. We work closely with young people, schools and families to encourage young people to make the right choices in life, reject a violent lifestyle, and offer help to anyone keen to escape the damaging influence of gangs." Between September and December, officers from Enfield Police and the Met's Trident Gang Command executed a total of 46 warrants and made 155 arrests in Enfield, 105 of which were of known gang members. The raids came as part of a 3-month operation which has seen Trident officers join forces with the Enfield Gangs Unit. Paul Healy of the Enfield Gangs Unit said, "Enfield Police will continue to work with our partners to reduce incidents of gang violence through intervention and enforcement. We will provide advice and support to those wishing to leave a gang's lifestyle and actively target those who choose not to. This is evident from the recent operation conducted in the borough that saw a substantial number of gang members arrested, charged and prosecuted for the supply of drugs."
A new arts centre is opening this weekend at Finchley's Sternberg Centre. The newly named Art Stables will showcase its members' work at its launch day on Sunday. The centre in East End Road will hold classes every day and will cater for groups of all ages with specific sessions designed for children. Art Centre Director Lizzie Sturm said, "It's for people who didn't ever believe that they could paint or be artistic. And then they find, well, they can." As well as art classes, the centre will hold Pilates and yoga sessions so members can focus on the mind and body. There's been a long history of art at the site, but the studio, which takes the place of an unused museum, has now given the classes somewhere permanent to take place. Director Robert Wallace said, "There's been painting in this complex for more than 20 years, but the classes were constantly moving. We moved into a cellar, another cellar, and then upstairs. These venues were often dark and ill-suited for artistic work. So the group asked the Manor Trust charity, which runs the site, if it could use the facilities at the Sternberg Centre. Manor House agreed and helped the group make the building fit for purpose. After that, it was down to fundraising and donations, as well as a £5,000 grant from an art trust to get the facilities up and running. Work will be displayed regularly at the art stables, which can be viewed by members of the public at open days such as the one taking place this Sunday. The new studio hopes not only to be a centre for art, but also, being close to a synagogue and having its own cafe, aims to bring the community together. Those interested in trying out the facilities should visit the centre between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m.
And now an opinion piece by columnist Vicky Pite. The amnesty granted to the Greenpeace activists, the Arctic 30, was the best of Christmas presents. Facing the real prospect of lengthy jail sentences for piracy because they dared to challenge the environmental policies of the Russian government, did they ever regret their actions? Although their imprisonment was reported widely, mercifully leading to their release, the activists' cause, I thought, received less attention. Drilling and oil exploration in the Arctic continue apace, and their ship, the Arctic Sunrise, remains impounded. At the other pole, another ship hit both ice and headlines. Academic Shokalski, the expeditionary vessel of an Australasian expedition, was trapped on the edge of the far Antarctic. Much was made, often unflatteringly, of the irony of scientists investigating global warming being stuck in ice. Skeptics even suggested this was proof of their views. Not so. The expedition, named the Spirit of Mawson after the British scientist and hero who first explored the southern oceans 100 years ago, is invaluable in building on Douglas Mawson's contribution to our understanding of the ecology and climatology of the southern seas. Such knowledge enables humankind to fathom the forces that shape global climates and to respond as best we can. Nearer home, a photography student is missing after misjudging the ferocity of the sea he sought to capture on film. Are risks such as these worth taking? I think so, but I wonder what the armchair sceptics think.
Two people who are passionate about the power of education have been recognised in the New Year's Honours List for their achievements. Kevin McLaughlin, founder of K&M McLaughlin Decorating Limited, has been awarded an MBE for services to skills and training after his firm was responsible for setting up the first dedicated decorating apprentice training facility in the UK in 2010. The father of 5 of Queen Anne's Place, Bushill Park, admits he was gobsmacked when he found out he had been given the Royal Seal of Approval, because the first he heard about the gong was not in the usual way of opening a sealed, mysterious envelope, but instead with a rather abrupt email marked urgent that popped into his inbox from the Cabinet Office at the beginning of December. The email said they needed a response to the letter they had sent. I said, "What letter?" And then they sent me a copy of the letter and swore me to secrecy. The 56-year-old told the Advertiser. Mr. McLaughlin admits that while he has never given awards and honours much thought in the past 25 years, he has been running the business with his wife Maxine. His family are thrilled with the chance of a day out at Buckingham Palace. He added, "It is wonderful, and especially considering where I come from. My background, if my mum could see this, then she would be over the moon. Similarly passionate about setting young people on the road to success is Sasha Corcoran, Deputy Director for Learners and Partnerships at City and Islington College. The mum of two has been made an MBE in recognition for her work in further education with teenagers. The 43-year-old of Oakfield Road, Southgate, explained that her passion for helping teenagers scale the dizzy heights of academia stems from her own experience struggling to support her family. I was homeless at 16 and pregnant, living in a hostel for 2 years, and in my work with young people, I used my experience of being a teenager off the rails and turning it around, she said. Sasha is undaunted by the prospect of a day at the palace. My fashion graduate son has promised to be my stylist for the day, she added, so I will have the best help looking the part at the very least.
A mother has made a last-ditch plea to help fund her son's surgery to help him walk. Adam Bobby Curian of Park Road, Enfield, Freezywater, has spastic diplegia cerebral palsy, which affects muscles in his legs, meaning he's unable to walk independently and play with his friends. The 7-year-old was born 12 weeks premature, weighing 3 pounds, and has had physiotherapy all his life. However, as he grows, his condition is getting worse. His mother, Swapna Kurian, said, "He's not a small boy anymore, and as he's grown, his legs have become tighter, and this makes it very hard for him to go anywhere without a walker. Despite all the difficulties he faces, he's a brilliant and determined boy, and he understands his condition, so he gets on with life as best as he can." Adam is due to have surgery next month at a specialist hospital in Bristol to hopefully eliminate the spasticity in his legs. This will enable the muscles to move more freely, allowing them to be strengthened with the help of physiotherapy to enable him to walk better. But there's a snag. After applying in May last year to the NHS to fund his surgery, Mrs. Curian has yet to have a response and must raise £25,000 before next month's operation. The desperate mother admits she is frustrated by the NHS, but will not put off the surgery. She said, "This surgery is life-changing, and Adam is really looking forward to it. But we need to raise money to give him a chance of walking and being able to join in with his friends when they play football. It's very frustrating that we haven't had a response from the NHS. It breaks my heart when he's left behind while his friends play, even though he doesn't complain. We're doing everything we can. He's our only child, and we want to give him the best chance in life he can get. Any small donation could go a long way for Adam." For more information, visit www.justgiving.com/Adams. Pardon me, that's .com/Adamswish.
An Enfield resident has been given the responsibility of managing the legacy of the London 2012 Velodrome as it reopens to the public. Jeremy Northrop has been appointed manager of the Lee Valley Velo Park at the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park in Stratford, East London. It'll be the first venture to have 4 different cycling disciplines in one place, including the velodrome, a remodelled Olympic BMX track, a 1.6 kilometre floodlit road circuit, and 9 kilometres of mountain biking trail. The 41-year-old has lived in London all of his life and has had more than 24 years' experience managing community centres, leisure centres and community halls in Enfield and Broxbourne. Levels of sporting participation since London 2012 have been the source of much discussion, and Mr. Northrop believes that attracting youngsters from the area will be a major part of the potential Velo Park legacy. Part of our legacy is for the children of the local area and youth to participate in the activities, he said. This is so they have actually got something to do in this area. Instead of just hanging around, they've got major opportunities now. We've got loads of sessions, plenty of clubs coming on board and many taster sessions. Mr. Northrop insists that the Velo Park is going to be a major attraction for the community and for neighbouring areas. For me, it's just getting as many people into this venue as possible, specifically from the local community, he said. Hopefully, it will be a major attraction for all the London boroughs and people who live in Essex and Hertfordshire. With the Velo Park reopening in March, there are already events lined up for the launch. We've got the Revolution event on March the 14th and 15th, which is really exciting to watch, said Mr. Northrop. We're gearing up for that, and the following week we're doing a bit for comic and sports relief. There are going to be some famous people participating in that, so we expect it all to be very interesting.
An Enfield woman has celebrated her 100th birthday at a church in Winchmore Hill. Gladys Swinson enjoyed her big day with 4 of her great-grandchildren, amongst other relations, at Winchmore Hill Methodist Church in Green Lanes, Enfield. Ms Swinson has been a resident in Winchmore Hill for more than 60 years and has been at Five Oaks Care Home in Cockfosters for the past year.
A teenager remains in a serious condition in hospital after being hit by a car on Sunday evening. It happened as the 18-year-old woman was crossing Windmill Hill, Enfield, at the pedestrian crossing outside Enfield Chase railway station at about 7:50 p.m. She was treated at the scene by paramedics for a serious head injury and was taken by ambulance to the Royal London Hospital in Whitechapel, East London. The driver of the car did not stop at the scene of the collision. Officers from the Collision Investigation Unit are asking anyone with information to contact them on 020 8597 4874.
We've reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of myself, Malcolm, Elizabeth, Katherine, Audrey and Dave on the controls, it's goodbye.
Goodbye and Happy New Year.
Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the cassette into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible.